Vets of Reddit. What was the worst pet name you have ever encountered in your job? Envelope. Actually, Darren. It's pronounced envelope. So I'm not a vet, but I'm deeply involved in the horse world. There's a discipline called halter, and many of the horses are genetic atrocities to begin with. They've been bred to the point of uselessness. When naming quarter horses, many breeders like to create a registered name that incorporates the parents' names and bloodlines. So, somebody bred together the stallion Kids Classic Style and the mare Looking to Shareable. The best name that the breeders could come up with for the foal, Kids Looking to Shareable. Yeah, that's the best they could come up with. Not a vet, but an owner. When my German Shepherd goes in, I tell them he responds to dog. His actual name is Dant, and he comes running when anyone even breathes it. But if all I want to do is get him to look over to me or to stop whatever he's doing, I just say dog. Also, he gets very excited whenever anyone tells him he has fat butt disease. The Office. He pushes you around with his big butt asking for scratches. Vet's office staff seemed very pleased with this information. We keep calling his name, but he doesn't get excited at all. Just tell him he has fat butt disease. One of my boys wanted to name one of our dogs Meat Stack. My son was 6 when we adopted the puppy. Same kid wanted to name his brother Turtle Flower when he was born. Needless to say, he is not in charge of naming things in our household. Sexy, for a chihuahua, just made the whole consultation very awkward. If you could just lift Sexy up here please. Thank you. Now I might need your help to hold Sexy down. I'm going to put this in your but Sexy, but I'll be quick. Raccoon. Our daughter was 3 when she named the all-black cat. I still have no idea why she named him that. He does appear a bit chunky like a well-fed raccoon now. Not a vet, but I lived in the Marshall Islands for a few years and I noticed that all black male dogs are named LAKEY, black boy. All white male dogs are named Lamouchouch, white boy. All brown male dogs are Laburawn, brown boy. And all black and white dogs are named Aurea. Old neighbor lady had a cat named Face because it had a beautiful face. She said. My brother-in-law named his cat Salad. Mom owns a vet practice so had a lot of these. Best/worst pet parents named their cat D-O-G and their dog C-A-T. James Bond was my favorite doggy, Pekingese. He was hilarious. There were so many Mittens, Fluffies, Spots and Buddies they got lost in the sea of animals. Worst story was a rescued golden retriever who was so malnourished they nicknamed him Pancake. Sadly, Pancake's kidneys were done, so he does 2 days after he was rescued by the local animal control. The 2 days I got to feed and spend time with him made it all the harder to realize he could have been saved if his family had let him go instead of leaving him chained up in the yard before they left. I hate people a lot of the time. Edit. Thanks for all the love, friends. I still have a picture of him on my phone. Won't forget him like his owners did. My grandmother's jet black and incredibly angry cat was called Rainbow. Edit. I'm not a vet either. In the South, I was in a waiting room with someone who brought their chicken named Tikka. Like chicken tikka. Klutzy. The last name of one of my mom's employees is Klutzy/poor girl. My old neighbors apparently thought it would be a good idea to let their 3-year-old name their dog. The dog was named Dump Truck. My first pet that I can remember getting was a fish when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I named him Clock because I happened to be looking at a clock when my mom asked what I wanted to name him. My dog's name was Freddy. The vet put it in as Freddy. I felt so ridiculous and never told them back, that's not how he spells his name. Not a vet, but I took in a cat from a family named Lord Whimsalot III. Yes, there were previous Lord Whimsalots. We nicknamed him Wimmy. There was once a guy that was selling his black cat. He called it Ustasa. Ustasa was a group of soldiers from Croatia in the 1990s. They are taboo today because of the crime/things they did. When I adopted my 2 from the shelter, the staff had named them after internet browsers and search engines. I got Google and Explorer. Another couple got Firefox and Bing. Mine were promptly renamed. My cat's name is John Hinckley Jr., because he was a stray that stalked me for a year and killed things to give me as offerings. I used to volunteer, not as a vet, at an animal shelter. We had to give all the stray cats/dogs that came in names. 4 in the database. They had to be unique, because sometimes you had to do a search and you can't have the name Simba popping up 1000 times. It happened. So one time we had 2 dogs that came in together, and they named them, Salah and me, Salami. It was just for during their stay. The owner was free to change the names. So not that bad, and my coworker was very creative. XGF was a vet nurse. She came across a cat in the system, called Horatio Bradshaw Roadwork. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Don't be a res lord. I'm just being polite. Not a vet, but I knew someone who had a cat named Sifa, which sounded fine to a child's ears. I later found out it was actually called C4. C4 cat. I rolled so hard when I found out. Obligatory not a vet disclaimer, but story at a vet's. My roommate had a dog called Tiquito, and we once had to go to the emergency vet at night because it was having trouble breathing. The dog goes in with the vet, and maybe half an hour later a vet's assistant comes out, goes straight for the Latino looking couple at the other end of the waiting room, and just asks them Tiquito. They were looking so confused and slightly offended, especially since the assistant kept repeating it when they didn't answer. My roommate was slow on the uptake, with it being the middle of the night and just being frozen on the spot by the awkwardness of the moment. But she finally spoke up and said Tiquito is my dog. No one looked at each other for the remaining time we were there. Edit. Thank you for the awards and for sharing your similar stories. It makes up a little for still cringing about that moment 10 years later. Edit 2. A bit more info about Tiquito. He was a rescue, and my roommate just kept his name because I guess it just fit. He was fine on that night. Just a case of kennel cough that went away on its own. He went on to live a full life of being the worst dog ever and passed away of old age. My dad has always wanted a dog named Ask Him, so when someone asks what your dog's name is, you can just say Ask Him. Edit. Thanks for the free awards. Vet Tech here. Worst one was hands down Tubgeril 96. It was a name given to a sweet, young adult female cat. The owners thought they were funny. My cat's name is Shu. My friend's aunt has a cat named Titters. Not a vet, I know. Sorry. My dad adopted a stray cat who wandered into his yard once. The first time he saw the cat, not much past kitten stage, his response was, "What a little shit." Little shit became the cat's name on the vet paperwork. The sad part was that she got her leg caught in a door once and ended up having it amputated, which led to a really awkward conversation in grade school. Before I was old enough to know better, when I told my teacher that my dad has a cat with 3 legs and her name is Little Shit. I'm not a vet, but this is somewhat related. One of our dogs is a pug. We got him a long time ago from a bad home. My wife and I kind of waited around too long to give him a proper name. So now we still just call him Pug or the Pug. I'm a little embarrassed when I take him to the vet and they ask his name and it's just Pug. Kitty. Now you may be wondering why that's a bad name. Kitty was an iguana. Edit. Should add I met this iguana when I was taking my dog to the vet. I'm not a vet. Nav. Cat is named Tuna Fish Jones. Sometimes called Toonses, or Fatness, short for Fatness Noverclean. Not a vet. Fuck Nichols the cat. I was once at the dog park and this lady kept yelling at her dog. "Kevin. Get over here, Kevin. Let me take your picture. Kevin. Kevin." Kevin was an old, overweight black lab. I still laugh when I think about it. A cat named Monster, which wouldn't be that bad, except that the family's last name was Johnson. Munster Johnson, ha 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 ha. Obligatory not a vet, but one time I was taking my dog to the vet for a checkup cause she had an ear infection. While waiting in the lobby, an older woman comes in with a dachshund in her arms and lets him sit on the counter. This isn't a problem for the staff, as they love dogs, especially small dogs. The receptionist asks for the woman's name, reason for visit, then finally asks what the dog's name was. Dachshund. The receptionist says, oh, I know his breed. But what is his name? Older woman looks her dead in the eye, and in a slightly quieter voice she says Dachshund again. The receptionist looked confused for a second and the room was dead silent. So when the amount of laughter enraged it was hard not to as well. Receptionist asks the woman why she named her Dachshund. Dachshund. And the woman was quiet for a minute before replying. He likes it. His little tail was wagging the entire time. Cue more laughter from all of us. Obligatory, not a vet, but my history teacher told us that he let his daughter name the cat when she was very young, and she called him Fluffybut. Years later she decided to rename him Milo. History teacher lived in a fairly rough area of the city and didn't exactly enjoy yelling Fluffybut into the night to get the cat home. Notorious P.I.G. Aka Piggy Smalls for a guinea pig on second thoughts. Add that to the best name ever encountered. Not a vet, but I've worked with pets over the years. There was an old GSD named Wally, a lasser named Shitsky and a cat named Bird Dog. Best name ever was a one-eared Chihuahua mix named Vincent. Not a vet, but I saw a posting for a cat named Fawcett.